So, hello. Yes, he's like, no problem. Chop, chop.
Well, I think it's a story that's both fascinating and deeply frustrating. Because just think about it for a moment, right? In 2024, 2025 financial year, South Africans spent an astonishing 1.5 trillion on gambling alone. And at the same time, the calls to the National Responsible Gambling Program, helpline, increased drastically. About from going about 140,000 calls, they got over 1.1 million calls in those just 1 year. And those are numbers that are obviously important for the questions I'm going to ask you. Are more South Africans gambling because we're looking for entertainment or because we're looking for a way out of the financial pressures that we are faced with right now? Because if you're struggling to meet, those demands at the end of the month, maybe your debts keep piling up, maybe they pay day either today you crash a little, tomorrow there is nothing. And then maybe you get this promise of a quick win that might actually help you. What would you do? So those are the questions I'm asking. Does gambling really solve our financial problems? I need an expert to kind of help me break it all down. Lisa, good evening. Welcome to Life and Money.
Good evening, Miss Kumi. Good evening to your listeners. Always a pleasure.
I need you to tell me a little bit about this. What is going on? Help me unpack this.
Hey, Diabowa, Miss Kumi. Yeah, 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 yeah. Listen, as you put it nicely, it started as entertainment. Nerebe chafela, Chiefs itlo jewa, Mama utlokora, and all of a sudden it's become a cash flow tactic. People now they get their salaries and they're counting on Betway. They've got debts and they're thinking, you know what, if I just have one more win, then I can pay off that debt. I can cut it off. And it's not just the lower end of the income spectrum. Even on the higher end of the income spectrum, people are engaging a lot more in gambling and that sort of activity.
Listen, the biggest question is, does gambling really solve problems or does it create bigger ones? For
It,
you, which one is it?
it's kind of for me. There's studies that have been done. But what smart people have done the work. Look, it definitely creates more problems. And the reason is because the line is very thin. Between entertainment, then very quickly a cash flow tactic, and before you know it, it's a certified health emergency. So it definitely is creating more problems. It's almost the same psychology as in social media, where you become addicted to the like, you become addicted to the hope of winning. It's not just about making more money or not making more money. It's about that anticipation in between, that excitement that you get while you're waiting to see if you're right or you're wrong, you know? Then the biggest problem for me, as an investor and a finance person, is that gambling is designed to be a mathematical disadvantage for you. The house always wins. We all know that. If you look at the National Lottery, the National Gambling Board, and you look at some of the work that they have to do whenever they give out a license to a new player in the industry, one of the things that they're looking for is how are you able to contribute to the CSI and what have you. But also, you have to show a viable business case. How do you show that you're going to make money? And I think before you go too far, it doesn't take too much to realize that, listen, if the gambling house is making money, then it means the customers are losing, you know? And what do I mean even further by that? A casino, the way it's set up, they can let you have a number of small wins, but ultimately they know that you are not going home until they've got your bag, no matter what the size of the bag is. And depending on the different types of gambling, you've got all the way up to places where people can gamble a house, gamble, money that you essentially don't have, and it turns very ugly. But the essence of it is that it's set up for the house to win. And so that definitely makes it far worse. I think the last one, and a very important one, is the mental health aspect of it. And most of the time we like saying, or mental health, ke malwetse a hona bjanong, that sort of thing. But something as simple as denial, lying to your family about how much you're gambling, keeping those apps away from your wife, from your husband, from your friends, and gambling in secret. Chiefs are Jewa and everybody's disappointed, but you are angry. You're not disappointed. Those are elements that show that you've perhaps gone a bit too far, and there's no way that we can say that that makes things better.
And I think those are the things, right, that you only realize as you're doing them, or I'm actually lying to my loved ones in order to keep this thing going.
Yeah.
And South Africans, obviously, when I read this article in now, was like, what? A staggering 1.5 trillion on gambling last financial year. And those polls obviously increased because family members were obviously like, Benong redirect. From your perspective, what's driving this trend? Like, do you think, or maybe, I slightly question that maybe Vele, people are gambling or patela dikoloto?
Yeah.
Or is it easy access to gambling?
Look, it's a combination, it's everything. Last week we were talking about how difficult things have gotten, how much debt, people's hopefulness, that sort of thing. So it's a mixture of it all. So you've got a bad financial situation. Then on top of that, you put on an addictive form of entertainment. As I said, the reward mechanism ho monate o wina tšhelete, look at topa 20 ranta ko molong, it feels a lot better than 20 rand that you've worked for. And so you've got those elements playing a part, and then the ease of access. Now when I was growing up, I mean, I still have barely walked into a casino at my adult age, simply because of how taboo it felt just walking through that door of lights and what have you. But today it's on your phone. You can register an account quietly. It's Yeah, they give you a starting bonus or a starting amount deposit to play. It shows up in unsuspecting areas. You'll be watching your favorite YouTube channel or YouTube video, and every 10 minutes, every 15 minutes, they're cutting to promote one or other gambling house and how much they give you double if you win in the first try and all of those things. I mean, even our football league is sponsored by a gambling company. It's just all over. It's just become near impossible to stay away from it. And yeah, I mean, that's essentially a lot of the drivers around it, including, as I say, the already existing mental health issues that we have. So before gambling was even a pandemic, I mean, 2 weeks prior, we spoke about male suicide and those sort of things. And, some of the elements that are built into these online games, online gambling platforms, online entertainment essentially have built in mechanisms that essentially reward you or make you feel good about that behavior in that particular instance that you're engaging in it.
I just have a message on WhatsApp. It reminded me also of the first time I stepped into a casino. I think I was already in university. Yeah. And my friends and I were hanging out at the casino. Like so we only have one casino, right?
Yes.
And so this one day we went inside and it went from us eating dinner there to someone saying, let's go to the slot machines. Yo. And then, got better 50 rand, like win 800.
Oh my.
And that's when I knew, or I must get out of here because Renkabua. Ke tlo go betha 800, ka lose 800. So then I decided that no, I know my personality, I know how I am.
Yeah.
With this luck that I'm having, I'm going to slip up one day and the luck is going to become dead.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to cry. But I have a message here that says, hi Kumi, personally I don't gamble, but if I were to, then I would use disciplined gambling art of trading. Though not a trader, I have been quite observant of them and the psychology it takes to be one. Yeah. So that's the only way I would gamble after understanding how the market works and learning how to take calculated risks. I didn't even know there was such.
Listen, I've been an investor for close to 15 years now. I'm on year 13, and I've trained people in the art of trading. I've trained people in the art of investing. And I can tell you, I don't even trade, number one, just to show you how close or how afraid I am of the differences in the two games. And then from trading, you then get absolute speculation or gambling as we have it. And I can tell you now the difference between all three, because somebody will inevitably ask. Speculation, as I said, first of all, the house is bet against you. So it's a mathematical formula. You're not going to walk out richer than us. You one of the few people that were smart enough and disciplined enough to realize that you were lucky to have won the 800. A lot of people attribute that luck to themselves. So I'm skillful, it's my levadimo, or it's my lucky shoes, or it's my lucky day. And then they try again and try again. And before you know it, they've been caught. Then the difference between investing and trading itself, or at least let me say trading and that speculation, when it comes to trading, you've got tools that allow you to see windows of opportunity where you've got an advantage and the house does not have an advantage. So you can see the volume of people making trades, you can see the demand, the supply, and you can basically see that, okay, there's a gap here. Let me get in there, make my quick money, and get out. Again, it takes a lot of discipline because very quickly you lose and then you want to go and chase those losses. And before you know it, you're no longer trading and you're gambling. And then the final one is the difference between the trading and investing. With the investing game, nobody has to lose. It's almost the same as starting a business. You start a business, you see there's a market, you offer value to that market, and they reward you for that value that you're providing. Sometimes they don't like what you're offering and you've got time to get out. You can sell at a loss, you can sell lower than you had intended, but essentially they all your business skills and lessons guide you in getting out of that vehicle. Very low risk, very low energy or activity, and there isn't that excitement whether you're getting in or getting out, and so it's relatively safe to pull your money out and salvage some of your estima. Yeah.
I think maybe when we're wrapping it up, Nat,
Yeah.
if you could talk directly to every South African who's feeling overwhelmed, maybe by debt, right? And essentially that's what they're gambling for, or financial pressures that they're under. What advice would you give them in managing money responsibly and maybe avoiding decisions that will lead to situations that even get worse?
The first and obvious one, I'd say call the South African Responsible Gambling Foundation. It's free, it's confidential counseling and treatment, and they're available 24/7. The number is 0800 006 008. They have got well trained counselors and psychologists to help you no matter what stage you're in. I sometimes call them just to find out, if my psychology is in the right place for the type of work that I do. Very, very important to have that counseling available. Never ever be alone, right? Then the next set of steps I would take would be to name the real number. A lot of people don't do a profit and loss. How much did I put in? How much did I get out? How much did I lose? Write it down. See that number so that it can help you make better decisions. Maybe you're doing well and you need to continue. Maybe you're doing worse than you thought you were, and that's the wake up call that you needed. Another one is to put a friction between you and betting. So make it difficult. Delete the apps. And every time you need to bet, download the apps again, put in your password, all that jazz about remembering how to go in. Then separate the money. Make sure that you take care of all your household items, no matter how little money you made. No matter ngahlangani, Miss Kumi. Always have a budget. make sure that even if yayihlangani ushotange 1, 2, 3 things on your list and not everything. I think those are the main three that I would lead with for tonight, Miss Kumi.
So much, Lisa Rich. I think you've kind of helped us compartmentalize it a little bit more. So thank you so much for assisting this evening. And as always, I'll catch up with you pretty soon.
Always a pleasure, Miss Kumi. Cheers to you and your listeners.
Thank you so much. Whether people are gambling.
There you have it, guys. There you have it.